Hello YouTube fans, here again. Now I do remember reviewing the original, the tacit prototypes by Steven Spielberg and John Hooper. I do remember reviewing the second one, not as good as the first one, but to a damn good sequel. And sadly to say, I remember doing the third one, what I think is a fucking piece of dog shit, and we already know why. I was sadly also I remember reviewing the remake, a total fucking disaster. But before we had the shitty third one, before we had the shitty remake, there was a spin-off of Poltergeist. And some people say it was a Poltergeist rip-off. And if people want to know what the fuck I'm on about, bear with me. I'm on about this film, Making Contact, taking another video rip, but on a DVD, Making Contact. For people that never saw this film, this is good complete and utter rip-off, I say it again, rip-off of fucking Poltergeist. It's a rip-off of number one, and it's a rip-off of number two, which funny enough come out the same year. Now, the days of rentable VHS, there was the days of the rentable VHS of Poltergeist 2. If you remember the old children tailors, it actually has that on the tailor. And the only difference is it's not a little dirt, it's a little boy. Before we had Tiles Play, before we had fucking Chucker, we had this fucking thing here, which is basically like a tester Joe that comes alive and oh, it's this little boy. I always remember the art drawing, and it's a mixed one, this for me. It's a mixed one. Is it a review? Is it a rant? Because, you know, like they say some movies get better with age. This doesn't. This, to me, is a cheap fucking rip-off of Poltergeist 1 and 2. It is. The bits I like, and there's bits where I think, it really is. Because, like I say, it's have this long boy. And you got the idea his dad's passed away, the mum's looking after him, he's on the telephone, just like you've seen in Poltergeist 2, with Alan talks to a Jan. Instead, the little boy talks to the dad. And there's some bits I do like I like the bit where every time he's talking, you hear the phone boosts and the ringing, dee 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 dee. I can't do a fucking ring tone if I try. But you know, like, it's an 80s film, so you know how the telephone sounded and the phone booths. Then I like that little touch. Every 2 minutes when you're talking, you hear the phone booth and you hear the phones ringing. I like that little touch. And I like it when this Tester Joe comes in. But the film just becomes kiddie friendly. It's like, it's not, is this really an horror film? Is this really a fucking horror film? There's got this little toy thing. It's like cute to look at, but seriously, it's like it's a fucking live. And he finds his tester Joe hidden in his floorboards. Why fucking corrects it, I don't know, because it stares the shit out of him. It stares the shit out of him. Now, like most films, you get Stu Bullis and they're picking on him because of the loss of his father, but he's got special powers. He can move things with his mind. So it's like, has he got side to pieces? I think it's called that, you know what I mean? And this teacher, this guy can't act to say fucking shit, but he's a teacher. And he goes to see the mum, and the mum, you got a feeling the mum has feelings for the teacher. And the Stu Bullies become his mates. And it kind of reminds me of reminds me of the Dooness, I meant to say. I say it again. It reminds me of the Dooness in how it's done. Because what happens is they're picking on him and the dog gets hit by a tank. You've got really silly kiddie music. And there are some good scary bits in it. Like, I do like that fucking thing. It's pretty scary when it comes alive. It's attacking the boy, it's threatening the boy, but they don't really do a lot to it. They don't really do a lot with the character. There's a bit of the little boy buries it, and then right, he comes back and he's attacking the boy again. There's a bit where he's throwing knives, and the mother finds all these knives at the door, and the boy says, "Stop, stop!" And the thing's holding him up with fucking electric, and it's laughing. This was the film, by the way. How they got away with this, I do not know. Now, I do know there's a foreign version of it and the American one. And there's a scene where you see Star Wars figures. There have been memories to me when I used to have the Star Wars figures. And how the fuck they got away with this, I do not know. There's that much Star Wars, it's unbelievable. If everyone remembers the scene where these little kids walk into the floorboards and you see Darth Vader with a lightsaber. Seriously, I'm not smoking any coke here. If everyone remembers a film like that, this is the fucking film. This is the fucking film. I shit you not. So what happens is the kids go and help him, and he's almost in the light, and you got the idea that this testator was by this magician, and it was evil, and it wanted to be the master, and all this shit. Again, don't really do a lot to explain that. And there's a bit with these other people who deal with the spirit world. There's a bit where I say it's a rip-off of Poltergeist 1. Come in, because I know the boy's got special powers and everything. And it's to do with the phone booths, remember what I just said. So there's a bit with the little boy, the kids break into this cave. You've got this big fucking Titanic burger trying to attack them. Seriously, I'm not making this shit up. Couldn't have a tie. And this one where you got a Darth Vader. Fuck how the fuck did they get away with this? I do not know. Copyright and all this, but seriously, I'm not making it up. You've got Darth Vader comes into this fucking film with a lightsaber. Not making it up. Couldn't have a tie. And he fights the magician, the fucking testator. It gets destroyed. For some reason, the little boy goes into a coma. And everyone's crying. You think the little boy's gonna die? As sort of like a sequel bait ending. Does he gonna live? Is he gonna die? And it ends with a question mark, thinking nobody knows. But over this film, I just don't think it's aged well. I can watch as a time waster, so I'm not really going to give it a rant. But I just don't think it's aged well. I love the art drawing. That's why I've kept the original one from the video cover. Because I do love the artistic drawing. But if you've seen this film, and if anyone, and I mean anyone, thinks this film is a rip-off of Poltergeist and Poltergeist 2, you're spot on, it is. Telephones. Wonder what film that was in. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! It was in Poltergeist 2. The toys coming alive. And loads of toys coming alive. Oh yeah! Poltergeist 1 and Poltergeist 2 when you think about it. Even got fucking Star Wars figures. Was that in a film? It had a big dock of Star Wars poster. What film was that in? Oh yeah! It was in the original Poltergeist, I remember. Because I remember the little boy, the little Buffy, and he had I can remember one, I think it was an Empire Strikes Back fucking bed cover. So this film, it just feels like I'm watching another Poltergeist, but not as good. Doesn't have Pepperell look in it, and that's it. It's its own film. And some of the acting, it's there. Some of the acting I feel is a bit wood, and like the actor that pays the cheats he has to be the worst actor. Has to be. There's some good acting in it, but it just feels like a kiddie friendly film. This film to me tries to rip Steven Spielberg. People think this feels like a Steven Spielberg film. It does. It feels like a Steven Spielberg film. Only the difference is Steven Spielberg doesn't direct it. This film to me, this film just feels like, if you remember when I was talking about Steven Spielberg's amazing stories, remember that? It feels like an episode of this. It feels like an episode of one of them. Or did they put it into a film? I can watch it as a time waste, so it's not really a rant, but to me, I'd have to give it an average. It's not aged well, but I don't mind it. It does have some good bits. Like I like the phone boost. I like that cheapy tester Joe that comes alive and attacking the little boy. I like the little boy. I think his name was Billy. Could be right and wrong. If anyone's seen the film, please let me even right and wrong on his name. Character name, that is. The Steve buddies, the dicks, but as the film goes on, they become likeable, become his bosom buddies. It's alright for a kiddie friendly sort of kid adventure film, I would say. It's alright for a time waster, a fancy watching something what's like a rip-off of Poltergeist. But I'd have to give it a 2. I'd have to give it a 2. But into them, be smart, be safe. film I'm blabbing on about is Making Contact. I've made contact today because they're a lot better. I've had a Richard III and it's now a normal one after having an horrible stomach bug. And look, I got an horrible cold sauce. Hooray. But into them, be smart, be safe. See you later.